so here we go. So we're going to continue with what we just said. All right, so these are the things that you need to have, the steps. And after that, we factor out the a. If we have a is equal to 1, then there's no factoring. You don't need to factor. All right, and then you add b over 2 squared to both sides. And then number 5, we're going to solve. So, all right, so these are the steps that you need to take. All right, so I'll show you what I mean by that. We'll do number 9 together. So number 9, we have p squared plus 6p plus 3 is equal to -2. All right, remember, it could be p squared, x squared, y squared. It really doesn't matter. Those are just variables. All right, let's try to go through these steps. Is this set equal to 0? No. So what do I need to move? -2. So this is p squared plus 6p. How do you move -2 to the other side? Can we do some mental math? Is that okay? So what is it if you move -2 to the other side? Plus 2, so that will be plus 5. Does that make sense? Are we all in agreement? Is that okay? So that will be number 1. And then number 2, that will be step number 1 right here, right? Okay, so what do you do as step 2? We need to move C. So which part is C? 5 is your C, so we need to move that to the other side. So that's step number 2, which is p squared plus 6p is equal to -5. There it is, -5. That'll be step number 2, right there. All right, now we need to check for number 3. You want to check to see if A is 1 or not. Is A 1 or some other value? What is A? 1. Isn't A right here? All right, that's 1. So there's no factoring involved. All right, so this one is checked. That's kind of nice. All right, let's go to number 3. We don't have to do anything, right? Number 3 is already checked. So we can kind of skip to, because this is A is equal to 1. We need to add b over 2 squared to both sides. So this is number 4. What is b over 2 squared? What is b value? 6. This is b, right? So this is 6 over 2 square, which is 3 squared. It is 9. We need to add this to both sides. So let's go ahead and add it to both sides. So what is it if you add it to both sides? This is p squared plus 6p plus 9 is equal to -5 plus 9. You see how 9 is added to both sides like that? All right, so if you add it to both sides, we can actually simplify this part right there. What is that? Isn't that p squared plus 6p plus 9 is equal to 4? Okay, so far so good. Now, number 5, we solve this. We just can't solve this. We need to solve this by factoring, and we solve it. So is this factorable right here? If I cover this, can someone tell me how to factor p squared plus 6p plus 9? How do you factor that? Remember, we worked on factoring for the last 2 weeks, so what is that? What does it factor into?
P plus 3, P plus 3.
Yeah, p plus 3, p plus 3. Very good. Yeah, it is p plus 3, p plus 3. But instead of writing it as p plus 3, p plus 3, can we write it as p plus 3 squared is equal to 4? Does everyone understand? All right, same thing. All right, how do you solve this? How do I get rid of that square? Take the square root. You want to take the square root. So if I take the square root of both sides, the squares go away. So this is p plus 3. But when you take the square root of 4, don't forget to put plus and minus in the front. Don't ever forget to put plus and minus in the front, okay? And you bring 3 to the other side like that. So P is equal to negative 3 plus and minus square root of 4. Alright, so how many solutions do you have? 2. You have 2 solutions. One of them is negative 3 plus square root of 4 is your first solution, this one. Your second solution is negative 3 minus square root of 4 is your second solution. These are the solutions that we have. Alright, let's check to see if this is correct. Remember I gave you all the solutions, right? And I got it wrong. Oh, I didn't simplify because my mind is everywhere, sorry. Because what's the square root of 4? 2, negative 2 plus, negative 3 plus 2, and negative 3 minus 2. So this is negative 1, and this is negative 5, so therefore this is correct. I'm glad I checked the answer because I can't think straight, alright? But I think you guys can forgive me for that, right? Okay. How many of you guys remember completing the square? Raise your hand. Whoop! Only about 4 people. That's not good. Yeah, it's okay though. We'll get through it, okay? Remember, we're gonna take it slow and I'll help you. We'll get through it together. So I'll give you time to copy all that. Alright, should we try number 10? I'll give you a little bit of head start and try number 10 and try to show work on a separate sheet of paper. Alright, go ahead and try number 10, please. I'm not going to write down the steps. Is that okay with you guys? I'm going to refer to the steps that I wrote down, but I'm not going to write step number 1, step number 3, and so on. Is that okay? All right. All right, so I gave you a little bit of head start. What do we need to do? Can someone help me? We'll just kind of go around the room. Yeah.
So you got 3.
Okay, so go ahead and add 3. What do you get if you add 3?
-5.
So P squared plus 4P minus 5 is equal to 0. All right, that is very good. That should be your first, kind of like your first step, right? All right, can someone else help me with the next kind of step? Someone else? Anybody?
Move C.
All right, move C. Okay, so let's go ahead and move C. Then what do you have if you move C?
Add 5.
Yeah, so P squared plus 4P is equal to 5. All right, that should be step number 2, basically, right? All right, anybody have an idea what to do next? Someone else? We'll go around the room, like someone else should volunteer. Anybody, it doesn't matter, help me.
Factor in.
Okay, factor A, but in this case, your A is equal to what? 1, so do I need to factor A? No, we can kind of skip this step of factoring A, right? Alright, that's good. Someone else for the next step, after you factor out an A, in this case we don't need to. And I'll show you an example of where we need to factor out an A. We have other examples where you have factoring A. Alright, anybody have an idea for the next step? Anyone else? Someone new?
Add B over 2.
Okay, so we need to add B over 2 squared to both sides, right? To both sides. Okay, so you need to calculate that. So if you were helping me, someone said B over 2. So what is B over 2?
4.
Yeah, so 4 over 2 squared, which is, 2 squared, which becomes 4. We're adding 4 to both sides, right? So let's go ahead and add 4 to both sides. So what do you get if you add 4 to both sides? What do we have? P squared plus 4p plus 4 is equal to 5 plus 4. We good? Alright. So what is 5 plus 4? 9. Alright, so what is our next step? Yeah, we need to solve this, right? Okay, someone else. How do we solve this? Can you help me to factor this? Say it out loud, I can't hear you.
Subtract 4. Or factor.
Factor, yeah. So can you help me to factor this right here?
P plus 2, P plus 2.
Yeah, it is p plus 2 and p plus 2. Again, you don't want to write it as p plus 2. Have you noticed all of these things will turn out to be a perfect square ones, okay? So this is p plus 2 squared, it is equal to 9. And then go ahead and solve this. Sure, go ahead and have a seat right there. Alright, so let's go ahead and take the square root of both sides. But when you take the square root of both sides, this is p plus 2. Don't forget to put plus and minus square root of 9. What's plus and minus square root of 9? Yeah. 3, right? Plus and minus 3. And you bring 2 to the other side, so p is equal to negative 2 plus and minus 3. That means we have two solutions. What are the two solutions? Negative 2 plus 3, which is 1 is your first solution. Another one is negative 2 minus 3. It is negative 5. So those two are the solutions. So let's check. Alright, 1 and negative 5. Alright, how many of you guys got that? Alright, good. Excellent. So now we know how to use completing the square. You need to know how to do this in chapter 2 of our calculus section. Okay? Chapter 2. You need to know you're completing the square. Alright, so let's do an example with factoring other than a, 1. Okay? So let's pick one. Looks like number 13. You see number 13? Looks like we have an a other than 1. So we'll skip to 13. Alright, so this is number 13. We have 4k squared plus 8k minus 9. It is equal to negative 5. Alright, so very similar, except for that middle part. Alright, so what's our first step? What do we need to do? Set it 0. So it is 4k squared. My pen has to run out of ink too. Alright, let me use red color. 4k squared plus 8k. What is that? Minus 4 is equal to 0. Does everyone understand what I just did? Okay, very good. Excellent. Alright, very similar. So what will be our next step? Add 4. So this will be 4k squared plus 8k is equal to 4. That's correct. Alright, what's step number 3? Factor. Yeah, so we only factor from here. Okay? So what is it if you factor out an A? In this case, what is your A? 4. So it is 4 parentheses, what do you have left over? K squared plus 2K. And then you need to have a space in between right here. Is equal to 4. Right there, like that. Alright, here we go. So if I cover these two right here, okay, I need to figure out, remember that number 4 step number 4, we need to add. So we're on number 4, we need to add b over 2 squared. So go ahead and find b over 2 squared for me. If I cover this, what is b? 2 over 2. So this is 2 over 2 squared, which is equal to 1. So I'm adding 1 here. But be careful, I can't add 1 to the other side. If I'm adding 1 here, I can't add 1 there. I need to add, anybody have an idea what number we need to add on the other side? 4. We need to add 4. Because, do you see this 1? Even though this is 1, because we have a 4 outside, whatever you have here, you need to multiply with the number that is outside to add it to the other side so that you can balance it. Alright, that's the only hard part. You have to kind of understand that. Okay? Alright, we're adding 1 here, but on the other side, make sure you multiply to this value outside before you add to the other side. Okay? Alright. This is factorable. Can someone help me to factor this one? Is it this 4? What is that? What's k squared plus 2k plus 1? K plus 1 and k plus 1. And then 4 and 4 will give you an 8. So this is 4. K plus 1 squared is equal to 8. Are we good? Alright, divide both sides by 4 and 4. So this is k plus 1 squared is equal to 2. Okay, so only part that you need to kind of figure out is that middle part. Everything else is pretty much same thing. And then you take the square root of both sides. So k plus 1 is equal to plus and minus square root of 2. Alright, you cannot simplify that, so you leave it alone. So k is equal to negative 1 plus and minus square root of 2. So you have two solutions. One of them is negative 1 plus square root of 2. The other one is negative 1 minus square root of 2. And these are the two solutions you should have. All right, I'll give you time to kind of organize that. All right, so negative 1 plus square root of 2. Square root of 2. Alright, negative 1 minus square root of 2. Do you see it right here? So that should be good. Okay, how many of you guys follow what I just did with factoring the 4 and why you need to multiply by 4 to the other side? Okay, very good. Okay, so you can watch this video over again, but you need to complete this and submit to Canvas by end of today. Alright? Alright, so make sure you take a picture and submit it to Canvas by end of today. Alright, and I'll give you another worksheet tomorrow just to make sure you guys understand this, okay? Alright, get to work please. Start recording this.